take this time just to spend giving you some sort of background on the further developments of what we call, we talked about the 10 toes of Daniel, and there's so much speculation on what's been said about it all. Matter of fact, the understanding saying that this European empire, which we see today standing in Europe as being a good representative sample of the 10 toes of Daniel. Well, the speaker disagrees, and we're going to take another approach tonight. We're going to talk about the 10 toes of Daniel as respectfully being 10 global regions which encompass all the earth. And these are the 10 toes that we see emerging. And out of this 10-toe figure, and we'll get more of that scripture as we start to go in the book of Daniel and some of the other scriptures that indicate where and how and the things that have happened at this point in time. And we're going to begin by saying, okay, the 10 toes of Daniel represent 10 global regions, and we want to focus in particular on what's happening in the continent of North America, and a idiom that's called the North American Union that's spoken of very low profile and seen very seldom in the news, but nonetheless it's breaking forth as being one of the areas that they're trying to develop and break through this global government. And we're going to watch as we take attention to what's being said here right now, a better understanding of how this global government is emerging. Again, we call it the North American Union. North American Union representing one of the 10 toes of Daniel spoken of in chapter 7 of Daniel. And we'll be going into that with better understanding as we go along with this present dialogue. And recently, a gentleman by the name of George Soros, a very big money man, multi-billionaire, and has a lot of influence, and he is one that's kind of parading and bringing this one world government concept into place and giving it more of a platform to work from. He's one of the, I would call, the apostles of this new world order as we see it emerging, and his point right now was that he had made a comment that we are going to get away from using passports in the United States, and he'd like to recommend something that would replace it. The passport is well in a place where America is not part of this North American Union, but should the North American Union evolve, and it is evolving, and it will be here shortly, and it's something that will all be brought under control of, the North American Union represents basically 3 countries in this continent called North America. The northernmost country being Canada, the central country being the United States, and the southern country being Mexico. These 3 countries constitute the North American Union as defined, I would say, in the New World Order. And George Soros is proposing that the passport system that we use now for travel and moving back and forth would be made of no effect and would be replaced by another system that would recognize a citizenship in a North American region called a North American Union passport. It would substitute the passport that we have and would recognize that these 3 countries together would constitute another citizenship that would be part of a new world order, which would make the United States in effect. And we could talk a little bit about this, meaning what does it all suggest that America as such as a country is becoming more and more weaker in its own position in the world, and these are some of the reasons. It's in an integration process that's going to submit to a global government and no longer have its own constitution, its own republic, its own attitude that we survive under from its founding fathers in the 1700s. All this is going by the wayside, and we caution you as we glean this piece of information that this is what the suggestion is, and this is where it's leading to. And again, a lot of this is people's opinion, but a lot can be found if you're willing to take the time and research North American Union and its evolution over the media, and you'll see a lot that will verify just what we're saying. And can you see why we in the last 20 years or less are not concerned about our borders? We want them to be as porous as possible so that as these citizens of these countries like Mexico migrating here in the United States, and we do very little, if anything, to prevent it from happening, allowing citizens to come from Canada into the United States. We have a border that's very open on the southern side and controlled somewhat on the northern side. But as these governments begin to work together, and some being Canada, I don't know if Canada is a real strong player in those, but it's going to happen. And it's going to be out of this citizenship that's coming, out of this region that's coming, there's going to be an amount of commerce and in industry and in warm equipment and so forth that'll all be self-supporting to another national ideal, which will be the North American Union. And whatever flags and whatever boundaries it has and whatever obligations it will have set in place, it'll all be done from the nature of what man can best provide on his own. Well, how bad can all that be? How much do we as a country really understand what's happening? We're saying that as this implementation goes on, the citizens of this country have very little to say. It's an upper elite group of people that have been proposing this for some period of time, and it's now almost in place, suggesting that, okay, we in the United States are no longer going to be protected by the Constitution. We are no longer going to be protected by those documents and what the Founding Fathers put in place. And the irony of all this, so much is being taken out of the school systems where civics is not being taught, world history is not being taught, local history is not being taught. Very little do our younger generation understand or even have a desire to know where they're being led. They're trusting that our government or our educational system or our adults or what our elected officials are doing to lead us. Well, this is the blind leading the blind, and we're all going to end up in the ditch. And it's coming to that point in time where very little understanding is being left in the hearts of the kids as they grow up, and the hearts of the people in the ages 30, 40, and 50 have very little idea of what makes our government run. As a matter of fact, in interviews out in the street, if you ask somebody if the president should die, who would be the heir, most people that you would question in the ages of maybe 20, 30, and 40 don't have any idea. They have no idea what the First and Second Amendment of the Constitution represent. They have no idea the three bodies of government where they are in place. So we are ripe as a country in our ignorance. As this guy Gruber said, Americans are very stupid. There's nothing that you can't pass by them because they don't have any concern or knowledge about what's happening. Well, needless to say, a toe of Daniel is emerging, and that toe, let me read the scripture. As we go on here, the scriptures go on to say, and if you bear with me, chapter 7, if you have a Bible, we're going to read the 19th and 21st verse so you get some understanding where this speaker is coming from. And it says in the 20th, 19th, and 20th verse, "Then I wish to know the truth about the fourth beast." Wouldn't you like to know the truth about the fourth beast? Well, we're talking about it right now. This is the fourth beast, and this is the truth, and we want you to grab a hold of what it means, which was different from all the others. Other empires, other kingdoms, and past history were much different than what we see with this regionalized global government, because in the past you couldn't touch all parts of the earth. Today, this government is going to influence all parts of the earth. And many people are not going to understand what's happening and how a change is coming, but there are many things that are put in place that we don't have the time to discuss here, but we will make you more aware of as we make more of these productions available to you. And it goes on to say, it was different than the others, exceedingly dreadful, with its teeth of iron and its nails of bronze, which the devoured and broke in pieces and trampled the residue with its feet. In other words, whatever happens at this point in time, this machinery, this governmental machinery, this 10-toe empire that's going to be put in place, it's going to run over the people of the earth. It's going to put people in their places, and there's going to be a strong government with strong military support, and it'll all be aimed at creating this one global government. And the Lord is going to allow us to drift into it because we refuse to accept His ways, take an understanding, and the fact that people have no longer focused their eyes on what the Lord has to say. We are a privileged people right here, being able to understand some of these things that are coming down. So So I say, as we come to the end of the session, keep your eyes open, watch the North American Union, watch and see how the emergence is coming to consolidate Mexico, the United States, and Canada into a regional area of government in the world, which will be what they consider one of the 10 toes. And with that, we want to say thank you very much for your time. God bless you, and may you take the information that you use here and use it wisely in the Lord's field. God bless you.